I've digitally tracked what I wear every day for over a year and a half. Today's video is about why I started tracking my wardrobe, what I learned, and why you should too. I use an app to track all sorts of data, which has helped me really understand what I'm actually wearing, which is often completely different than the perception I have in my mind or the pins on my Pinterest board. From there, I can see the cost per wear and understand the why. The elements that I like or don't like, the colors, the silhouettes, etc. I don't mean to be dramatic, but this has completely changed the way I shop and helped me identify my style. My personal style crisis was a long time in the making. For most of my life, I've struggled to get dressed and feel good about what I'm wearing, let alone to feel stylish. COVID only amplified things. The things that I had worn pre-COVID no longer resonated with me or just didn't fit my lifestyle anymore. It felt like the harder I tried, the more confused I got. I wasn't confident in what I wore. I didn't like most of the clothes in my closet, and I felt totally directionless. I didn't really know what I liked, what I felt good in, or even where to start. And yet my wardrobe was full to the brim and totally chaotic. The majority of my clothes were thrifted out of necessity. For most of my life, I shopped wherever the price was lowest as opposed to what I actually liked. I was tired of my clothes falling apart. The majority of my wardrobe was made up of low-quality synthetic fibers that just didn't age well. Jeans that would bag at the knees, sweaters that would stretch out at the elbows, and polyester dresses that would start to smell weird after just one wear. And I felt like I just couldn't keep up with it. My closet wasn't cohesive. There were all kinds of colors, silhouettes, styles, etc. Nothing was consistent. In September of 2021, I decided to get my seasonal color analysis done, which is one of the best things I've done for my wardrobe. During this time, I started to learn about natural fibers and how to identify quality pieces. I decided to start tracking my wardrobe in November of 2022 to understand what I was actually wearing, the true cost of my clothes, to make better shopping decisions, and ultimately develop my style. Little did I know this habit would change the way I shop and curate my wardrobe for the better. I uploaded everything I own into the stylebook app. Yes, it did take a while, but it was totally worth it in my opinion. I know there are several apps now. This is just the one I landed on. It's super easy to import photos straight from a site, which looks a lot cleaner. I obviously can't do that with my older items, and I just take photos of those instead. I also have a folder for things on my wish list, so I can experiment and see how those things would mix and match with what I own. From the home screen, I go to the calendar to log what I wear every single day. Sometimes I'll put an outfit together and I'll take that extra minute, but most of the time I don't. I became a proud outfit repeater, but it was still interesting to see how my patterns changed from month to month. There wasn't anything groundbreaking. I typically wore pretty simple, straightforward outfits that fit into my casual lifestyle. Something I learned is that I actually don't need a lot if I have the right foundation, and those basics are going to be different for everyone, and that having less options actually made getting dressed easier. And the more intentional constraints I had, the more I said no to items that weren't perfect, meaning I kept loving the items that I added to my closet, far beyond that initial excitement of having something new and shiny. Moving into the style stats, here's where things get really interesting. I learned a lot from my most worn items. This experiment confirmed that I really only need 2 winter coats, a wool wrap for nicer occasions, and the Aritzia Super Puff for more casual, practical occasions like walking my dog. For warmer seasons, I reached for the Patagonia Nano Puff. There's a reason this jacket is considered the uniform of the Pacific Northwest and that so many people own it. It's a great technical jacket, but I realized that a gap in my wardrobe is having a nicer jacket for warm weather. Because of this, I found myself wearing a lot of sweaters to bridge that gap on more mild days, and I definitely need to find some kind of a nicer jacket that I can wear on a regular basis. Transitional items got the most wear by a long shot, so it definitely makes sense for me to invest in those pieces. Natural fibers won regardless of the season, especially cashmere, cotton, linen, things of that nature. I just kept reaching for, and it got to the point where I didn't want to wear anything else. It didn't matter how cute it was. If it wasn't a natural fiber, I just didn't want to wear it, and I wasn't going to feel as comfortable in it. My go-to items included straight leg jeans, especially blue jeans, neutral t-shirts, especially off-white, gray, charcoal, practical shoes like white sneakers and Birkenstocks, trousers, practical shorts, and just warm sweaters in general. One of my favorites was the Cezanne striped Leontine sweater. This is 100% cotton, and I found myself wearing it at least once a week. Something that I noticed is that regardless of the season, I always needed some kind of a layer to wear in the morning, so this is an area where it makes sense for me to build out. I was definitely a bit surprised by some of my least worn items. I used to wear blouses all the time, especially in college and when I had just started working. I found that I reached for alternatives that felt like the same level of formality. In this case, it was often like a simple top or sweaters Again, sweaters were really a go-to, but I don't know that it's always because of the warmth factor. I think it's because a lot of the blouses that I have just didn't really feel like me anymore. I do wonder if I would have worn more blouses if they had a different shape or style. So that's something that I am curious to experiment with a little bit more, because I don't think it's sustainable to only wear sweaters and t-shirts. I stopped wearing my light wash jeans, and I think that was a combination between the wash and just being a bit more fitted than I prefer these days. Ballet flats. I have always loved ballet flats, but I found I didn't have many occasions to wear them. In the summer, I reached for sandals, and in the cooler months, I was reaching for boots or sneakers. So there just weren't many times or places that I needed a ballet flat, especially because it's so rainy. But again, I do wonder if a more modern shape and maybe a different size would have changed that and I would have worn them more. I really only reached for button downs in the summer, especially with shorts and linen pants, and I would like to challenge myself to find ways to wear button downs for the rest of the year. It turns out I don't like turtlenecks, partially because of the comfort, and I also think it just made more sense for my very casual lifestyle in the mild climate I live in. Overall, I am still holding onto pieces that I don't totally love or aren't quite right, but I'm not necessarily in a rush to replace them. The most interesting stat for me is cost per wear, and a lot of my bigger ticket items were actually the lowest cost per wear, which was really satisfying to see. My most worn colors included blue and gray, which I only recently incorporated after getting my seasonal color analysis done, and I ended up really loving them. I generally reached for light gray over white and navy or charcoal over black. I really struggled with harder to pair colors, even if they were flattering and I felt amazing in them. For example, cool yellow, teal, maroon, they were just too hard to pair on a regular basis with bottoms and outerwear, so I ended up wearing navy over teal almost every time. I did stick with my color palette really closely, which was great to see and to know that yes, I actually am on the right track and these are the colors that I feel good in. Wardrobe tracking can be a great tool to understand yourself and what you're actually wearing. It's made a huge difference in the way that I shop and the way that I view my closet. I could spend hours talking about what I learned. I now have an understanding of the colors, silhouettes, and fabrics that I feel good in. I learned that paying more for the right item was so much better than looking for a cheap alternative that I was going to fall out of love with and ultimately wasn't going to wear for very long. There are pieces that I've worn 50, 100, 150 times that I still get so excited to wear and that I know I will always feel incredible in because they are just so me. And the more I understand why I like them, the better I am at identifying true gaps in my wardrobe instead of chasing after some fleeting, shiny object that I can bring home for a while that will ultimately clutter and confuse my closet. So that's really helped me reduce the feeling that I need to be buying new things, and I'm a lot more content with what I do have. I'm sure I won't track my wardrobe forever, but it has been so helpful for me, and it's definitely something that I'm going to continue doing for now. I'll get off my soapbox now, but I do really encourage you to try tracking your wardrobe and to see if it makes a difference. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.